People in here, they've been inside from the start. They haven't had to survive. And they just don't get it. They can't.
The very thing that makes you different is what makes you special.
Now I'm all warm and fuzzy inside.
To fight for this city. To be the symbol of hope that the arrow never was. I am the Green Arrow.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Fandom Zone, episode 40. I am your host, Karen, and with me, as usual, is my co-host and cohort in crime, Charles. Hi, Charles.
Hello, Karen. How are you today?
Fine, and I am really glad we don't podcast in the same room where my head would be off. Because someone has a lightsaber.
Well, it's a mini lightsaber.
Yeah, still, it's a lightsaber. Just as deadly.
It looks cooler on the camera than it does in real life.
It's blue, right?
It's kind of rainbow colored almost. It's got blue and then it's got some white. So it's blue.
I see some red.
So there's a little bit of red down here.
Yeah, I see that. It's very cool.
Yeah, it's one of those like you get at a concert thing.
Oh, yeah, like a rave?
Yeah, well, no, more like a, yeah.
Because you're into the rave scene, I know.
Well, I am.
Right.
Lori, not so much.
Right.
Yeah.
So, that's your way of,
Yes.
getting out and doing your thing at night.
Woot, woot.
And I was just noticing that my Arrow Funko figurine, instead of having black eyes like the Flash does, it has white eyes, which is kind of freaky looking. Isn't it?
It is a little bit. Look, he looks like a deer caught in headlights.
He kind of does. But I got the Flash Funko figurine and a Wonder Woman Funko figurine for the Xmas. So
that is cool.
I was showing those on camera. And again, that's our little start of the show, Easter egg.
Because we have to play with toys.
Behind the scenes thing. And he brought his Captain Cold up when Captain Cold says that thing. And I always mouth along with it with the warm and fuzzy inside.
Now I feel all warm and fuzzy inside.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
And then when the Arrow came on, I brought up Green Arrow. So there's your behind the scenes. So we're at episode 40. Not episode 50 yet.
No, that was yesterday.
Right. I was lucky enough to join Jesse and Charles on this week's Next Stop Everywhere.
Lucky? You have an open invitation. How can it be lucky?
Oh, that's very nice.
You can come anytime you want.
So, cross promotion.
Mm-hmm.
Please listen to Next Stop Everywhere's 50th episode.
The Day of the Doctor.
That's right, where we discussed the 50th anniversary.
Which will hopefully be posted in a few days.
Yay.
Hopefully.
Well, no matter when it's posted, we had a great time.
Yeah, exactly. And Karen is awesome as always.
Ken and Jesse and Charles and I. So we had a great time. And Charles did a really great job of moderating that.
You're a liar. You're lying liar who lies.
A liar and a falsehood. No. Actually, not. Completely not. It was a great time. I love talking to you guys and my new BFF, Ken. I like him very much.
You guys seem to get along pretty well.
Yeah, I like him. He's very cool.
He's old school Doctor Who fan, so.
He is, yeah.
He's one of us. One of us.
One of us. Yeah, how could I not like him? So in this episode of the Fandom Zone, we will be discussing Jessica Jones ×2, episode 7 and episode 8, which are AKA Top Shelf Perverts.
which describes us perfectly.
Exactly. Top shelf.
Top shelf, baby.
Well, if anyone knows me at all from these, they know I am a top shelf pervert. I mean,
It's like the episode titles are speaking to us.
right. I mean, my superhero name is the Scarlet Cougar. How can I not be? Right, exactly. Where's my sound effect? Yeah. And AKA WWJD, which I'm assuming is Jessica.
Yeah.
What would Jessica do?
What would Jessica do?
So let's start with AKA Top Shelf Perverts, since that is episode 7.
Yeah, it'd be really kind of weird to start with 8. Then
Yeah,
go back to 7. But we can do it because we have that power.
Well, we could. But I'm not going to.
No, let's not do that.
We should really go in order.
Yeah, we should.
You and I are really on the same page about these 2 episodes.
Pretty much. I gave the second one a little higher than you.
Yeah, you did. I don't know why I went down a little bit.
Because I thought that was a really good episode.
Well, I did too. The little drop down wasn't a big deal. I think it was mostly the divorce area that was
yeah. I could get
stopping point. It was kind of like a.
It is kind of a screeching halt.
Right.
To the momentum.
Right. I mean, I get
that or anything with the neighbors.
Right. Exactly. So, I mean, it's we'll get into that when we talk about that episode. But it's definitely a kind of thing that takes you out of the episode for a minute, because I'm like, what does Hogarth and her ex have to do with this storyline right now? So, if it comes in later, great. But otherwise,
Yeah.
Why can't I learn more about Killjoy?
Killjoy.
Why am I saying Killjoy? I
don't know. You wrote it in the notes. Yes, I know. I was going to pick on you about that. Kilgrave.
Thank you, Kilgrave. I fixed it in the document just now so that I wouldn't keep saying Killjoy.
So every time she says Killjoy instead of Kilgrave, take a drink.
I won't. It's Kilgrave.
Okay.
Just so you know, guys.
Kilgrave.
I'm very schlubby today. I'm being very lazy. So this is why I might not be completely 100%. I'm like 98% today.
You mean you're not in your formal ball gown?
No, I'm not.
Dressed to the 9?
I'm not. I'm in they're kind of pajamas, but they're not. They're like I don't know, like exercise wear kind of.
What is
baggy.
This bizarre segue?
What is this bizarre segue that's happening?
All right, Top Shelf Perverts.
Can we maybe stay on point?
You're right, Blaine. I have already diverted. Top Shelf Perverts. Here are my talking points through this episode. Having a Reuben in bed. Haha, get it?
Yeah, Reuben, yeah.
Yeah.
I see what you did there.
She's super to the max. Mm-hmm. Dear Diary and playing house with the ex. So, having a Reuben in bed.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll take that for 100, Alex.
Yeah, let's do that one. And here's my door notice, the notice I took of the door imagery.
Recurring theme
Right.
or metaphor.
Right. There is a chat that Reuben and Kilgrave have at the door about letting him in, whether he's going to let him in or not. And I don't know if that's their imagery, but...
Can I posit a theory about the door?
Sure.
I think the door represents literally openness, because so many of these people they've walled off their feelings or what they're really doing, or especially Jessica.
I agree.
Jessica kind of walls herself off from everybody, so she's got that closed door mentality.
Right. And I think that's shown probably the most clear in the episode where Trish and Simpson are back to back through the closed door, and then once the door is open, they're
going at it like bunnies.
Right. But yeah, I think that's probably what they're trying to show us, with where there's an open door and where there's not. Mm-hmm. But I think in this episode, that's kind of, he doesn't want to open the door. And when he does, the next time we see him, he's dead. So he has let him in to the house, but it's against his better judgment. And it ends up very badly for Reuben. So
should have laid off those banana bread.
Right?
It's like, dude, just kind of keep the banana bread to yourself.
And I think it's interesting how one of the last things I said about the last episode. Now, I made a gesture about what I thought was going to happen to Ruben, and it was, I did it like a hangman.
You were prophetic.
Yeah. And of course that has something to do with the head being.
Do you know how hard it was to not tell you about that? Well, I tried to play that cool. I don't think I tipped it.
No, you didn't.
I didn't give it away.
Also, I was about 99% sure he was going to bite it.
I was this close to telling you.
Well, I knew I was going to stop and go watch it, which I did, and then I laughed out loud because it was almost immediate. And the fact that his throat was slit, and then she took his head off.
Yeah.
Which made me laugh even more because the gesture I made was the hanging, hangman's noose thing. So
yeah, Ruben's corpse does not fare very well in this episode because he all right, he's killed, left in Jessica's bed. He's got like a knife he's holding up. There's bleeding out all over the place as Jessica gets brought in by Malcolm, and she kind of lays back in his blood on her bed, and then Malcolm ends up taking his body to this pier and weighing it down and throwing it in the river.
So he sleeps with the fishes.
Yep. And then Jessica has to go in, get the body. She gets the body, brings it out, and then decapitates it to bring the head into the police station.
Decapitate it and just bring the head up, or does she bring the whole body up?
We don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't know because I don't think she went in there with a knife.
She just ripped the head off.
That's true. She could have just ripped the head off. She's strong.
Did they say something about it? Did Kilgrave say?
All right, let's go with that. She ripped the head off because it's cooler that way.
I think Kilgrave says something about ripping the head off.
Maybe that's what happened.
When he picked the head up in the police station, he says something about ripping the head off, like a little joke about ripping the head off.
Okay, you've convinced me.
No, I'm not sure. I might have to go back and check.
You're as sure as I am because I don't know either.
Okay. I'll check later and I'll get back to you on that.
All right. You better.
I'll put it on our Facebook page.
Okay.
Anyway, my assumption was from the episode that she just brought the head up. However, no matter which way it happened, it was messy.
Yeah.
Poor Ruben. Yeah, he did not fare well. And it was very early on in the episode. And I have to say, I feel sorry for him because he didn't deserve that. But man, his sister is quite a harpy.
So you feel that she deserves to feel horrible that her brother's missing, and
I don't think she doesn't know why. Feel horrible.
Yeah,
but I don't really feel much sympathy for her.
No, because
do you?
No, it's hard. She is a very hard character to like at all.
Right. I'm struggling to feel sympathy for her.
And I get the impression that's deliberate.
Oh, I think so too. So that you don't really care about who's left behind in his case.
If they were going to kill one of those two, I would rather keep Ruben, kill her.
Right.
But sadly, that was not the case.
But I think this was the least cruel option because Ruben would have been the one hurting.
Right.
If they had killed her.
Because
right?
He needs her, yeah.
Right.
For whatever weird reason.
Well, he was apparently autistic, maybe? She made a kind of a...
Or he was some kind of development
challenge.
No. I don't know. I was going to say that, and then I was like, I don't know.
Made a remark about it, but it could have just been a disparaging remark about her brother. Also, the way she was talking, I wasn't quite sure either way that he couldn't take care of himself. It could have just been that she wanted to be his keeper.
Yeah, there's some kind of developmentary thing going on there somehow. Right.
Plus, I always, because of the way that the series started and the noises coming from their apartment, I always had a weird hanky feeling about her anyway. So, So yeah, I have a very hard time feeling bad about her. Really hard time. And I can't really have a lot of sympathy. And I'm almost glad that she's not going to ever find out what happened to him. Because who cares, right? You're telling me she finds out.
I'm not saying a thing.
She finds out. Okay.
I'm not saying a thing. Maybe I am. Maybe I'm not.
So she finds out.
I guess we'll never know.
Yeah, we will.
Okay, we will. Okay, we will.
Okay. Okay. So she finds out. Spoiler alert.
Maybe she does.
That's not a huge spoiler.
No, it's not.
So I do feel awful that had to happen to Ruben, though. And it didn't look like a very good way to go. Now, here's my question.
Okay.
Do you think Kilgrave made him do it to himself?
Oh, yeah.
Because he is adamant that he never killed anyone.
Right, exactly. And that's how he gets around, or at least rationalizes it in his head.
Right.
He has people stab themselves or injure themselves. Like, remember the guy with the coffee, the magazine vendor who caught him stealing magazines or looking through magazines or whatever, and he tells the magazine vendor to throw hot coffee in his face.
Right.
Now, he didn't just grab the hot coffee, throw it in the guy's face himself.
Right.
He made the guy do it to himself.
Right.
And that's how he kind of absolved, like, I don't dirty my hands with that.
Right. So he either compels people to do it to themselves or compels people to do it to other people.
Right.
But he doesn't do it. And that's his way of keeping himself clean.
Yeah. Relatively speaking, yeah.
That's very twisted. I mean, that is definitely not keeping yourself clean in any way. So he made Ruben commit suicide.
Right.
In Jessica's bed.
Yeah.
And then Jessica and Malcolm, of course, who is there. Jessica tells Malcolm that she's going to end it. And for a split second, I think Malcolm thinks that she's going to off herself.
Well, especially because of her mental state by this point, because after everything she's been through, and now, here Kilgrave has gotten into her personal life once again, killed somebody she knows in her building.
Right.
In her apartment.
Right. Someone in her circle.
And laid the body in her bed.
Right.
So at this point, she's not thinking clearly. I don't know if it's because, she is, it's hard to tell with Jessica because she drinks so much, but
right.
But her emotional state is definitely affecting her judgment.
Right. Well, he knows the tally is getting higher.
Yeah.
And she blames herself for all of those marks.
Yeah.
And she doesn't want that tally to go any higher, as she states in this episode that she feels like all of those people are her fault. They're all on her. She committed one of those murders.
Right.
Then Hope's parents, she thinks were her fault as well, because that was Kilgrave trying to get her attention. And then, of course, Ruben is her fault because he just happened to stumble upon Kilgrave at the wrong time.
Because she's involved with Kilgrave once again, and he got caught in the crossfire, essentially.
Right. So, technically they are her fault, but they're ultimately Kilgrave's fault.
They're ultimately Kilgrave's fault. She's taking the heat for it. She's blaming herself for something Kilgrave did.
Right.
Unfairly, in my
they're indirectly.
It's not like she asked him. It's not like she told him, hey, kill my neighbor.
Of course.
No, so it's not her fault.
Course. I'm not placing blame on her. I'm saying from her perspective.
Yeah, she blames herself.
Yeah. Right.
And I think that's part of why she comes up with this really stupid plan.
It is. It's terrible. It's the worst plan ever.
It's the worst plan ever.
So that leads into she's super to the max. And her plan is...
Like that segue?
Right.
You're welcome.
Not like a John Crichton plan.
No, this was worse than a Crichton plan.
It was actually. Get locked up in the Supermax prison so that he could not avoid getting caught on camera going into a Supermax prison.
Right.
And that was her plan. Right?
Yeah,
right? That was ultimately the bare bones of it.
But and again, okay, even if he did, what's to stop him from mind controlling some guard or something and erasing the tape?
Right.
Just like he does in the police headquarters.
Right. And I'm assuming that that's why they showed us that, right?
I think so.
That's why
that hurt. No matter what,
plan
her plan was going to like be completely pointless.
Right. So I'm thinking they showed us that in order to not only illuminate in her mind that her plan wouldn't work, but also to let us know her plan wouldn't work. Because at first glance, some people might have thought, well, I guess that's an okay plan. But then by the time she goes with him out of the station, you're thinking, okay, that was the most boneheaded plan ever. And really the only way anything can happen is if she goes with him.
Yeah. I think part of the reason, though, for this plan, though, is her guilt over killing Riva.
Oh, yes, definitely.
Because she in that interrogation room with Detective Clemens.
Right.
She tells him she reveals that she killed Riva.
Right.
And she'd like, you got to put me in Supermax.
Right. And she outlines the crime.
And she tries to say, well, I'm a top shelf pervert, which is where we get our story title from.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
But she's, I think it's her guilt over that is what is, if you dig deep into her psyche and her and her motivations, that's what's really underlying this stupid plan.
Right. That she considers herself a murderer. And that's what's driving that. That need to get locked up. Her need for
her guilt.
I would say redemption, but like her need to be cleansed, I guess, is to go to prison and serve her time.
Or that's her punishment.
There you go, punishment. And she details that crime. She brought the head in, Ruben's head, to show that she could be a killer.
Yeah.
But then she details the crime that she really feels like she committed, which is killing Riva.
Right.
Which I think is telling. She doesn't actually confess to the killing of Ruben.
No.
Even though Ruben is the one that she's definitely got all the evidence.
Right. All she does is just thunk.
Right.
Dump the head on Clement's desk.
But the one that she cops to, essentially, is Riva in the interrogation room. That's the one she outlies to and
then Clemens asks her why. Like why?
Right.
Yeah.
He's actually the big bad of season 1 and 2 in Person of Interest, by the way.
Oh, Clemens?
I can't get him out of my head from that. But I found that really telling. That I think that's the only crime she feels really guilty about is that. The other things she puts squarely on Kilgrave's shoulders. Killing Riva, though, I feel like she thinks she might have had some hand in herself. Like she could have stopped herself, but she couldn't have.
Not based off of what I've seen. I don't think she could have stopped herself.
Right. I don't think so either. But I feel like the way that she's handling things, she feels like maybe she could have.
Yeah. Maybe she feels like she should have overcome.
Right. That she's so strong she could have overcome it. But yeah. And I forgot to ask this when we were talking about her taking care of it.
Yeah.
When she says that to Malcolm thinks about the fact that she might be wanting to off herself, but could she actually do that?
Could she kill herself?
Could she kill herself?
Well, she's not invulnerable. The bullet wound proved that.
Well, could it have killed her?
Well, I mean, if she can have a bullet wound to the shoulder, she can certainly fire a gun into her temple.
Okay.
And kill herself.
So brain.
Yeah. Or like her through her eye socket or whatever. Yeah. Okay. She's just stronger than the normal person. Probably more durable than the other normal person.
Okay, yeah.
And she can
too deep into that.
And she can fly.
I would just
marginally.
She can fly like the original Superman can fly, right? Leaping, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I told Emily that on Made of Steel,
but in the comics she can fly.
Oh, she can fly.
And she flew as Jewel in the comics.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. During the flashback scenes where you see her as Jewel, You know, and then yeah,
Oh.
she was flying in that
That's cool.
before she gets the crap kicked out of her by Thor and the Vision.
And the Vision, huh?
Yeah, the Vision, because she under Kilgrave's control. Kilgrave sends in the comics. I know that we're kind of digressing.
It has
Surprise.
something to do with Jessica Jones.
Yeah, okay. In the Alias comics by Brian Bendis, Michael Gatiss, the Purple Man, Kilgrave, sends Jessica as Jewel after Daredevil.
Mm-hmm.
She gets it in her head that, you know, it's red costume.
Right.
But before she finds Daredevil, she comes across the Scarlet Witch.
Oh, okay.
And proceeds to attack her out of nowhere, lays into her really
Whoops.
hard. And of course, you know, hey, the Avengers are nearby.
They assemble.
Pretty much. And
Excelsior.
And because after attacking the Scarlet Witch, she kind of snaps out of it at this point. And she's like, oh crap, they're after me.
Okay.
And she's trying to explain everything, and they're not buying it. Because they've never seen her before. They think she's an enemy. So they're just out to take her down. And Thor really lays into her, and then the Vision is pissed because she attacked the Scarlet Witch.
Right.
The woman he loves.
Sure.
So yeah, he just beats her and she ends up in a coma as a result.
Okay.
So it all goes horribly wrong for Jessica.
I'll have to read that.
Yeah.
I haven't read the Alias comics, so I'll have to go back.
You need to.
Sure.
Highly recommend.
You know, me and Marvel have a love-hate relationship.
Yeah.
So
I need to make that happen then, because those are really good.
I will.
If you like the Jessica Jones show, you will love the Alias comics.
Yeah, I love the show.
Yep.
I'll grab a copy.
Yep.
And start reading them. Okay, so once they leave, Kilgrave comes to the precinct because he can't have her behind bars. Mm-hmm. And he still has tabs on her. So now, in this episode, is Simpson watching yet?
He's watching at the end when she goes into her house.
Okay, so Trish and him and he are not on the phone yet about that?
No, not that I remember anyway.
Okay, that's in the second episode then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they're basically all just like Jessica arrives in the cab, and then at her childhood home, and then Will Caesar goes in, like Kilgrave goes out to meet her. They both go into the house, and Will's just like, what?
Okay, because Trish has no, I think Simpson sees him earlier because Trish has the lead on him through the bodyguards, and she says something about it in this episode.
You could be right.
Is that this episode?
Maybe I'm misremembering.
Well, let me make a comment about it because it's one of the two of the episodes. Is that Simpson actually sees him when he's talking on the phone to Trish, and he says he doesn't.
Okay.
Is that correct?
I just didn't have it in my notes for this.
It doesn't matter which episode. Yeah. You don't have to look. I don't care which episode is in. I was just making a remark that Simpson sees him and lies to Trish about it.
Right.
It might be the second episode.
I think I have something here in this. That's the second episode.
Okay.
Oh, no, let me see.
So anyway.
Yeah, you talk and I'll look it up here.
Yeah, I think it is the second episode. I think you're right. Because that's the episode where he's outside the house a lot.
First time for everything. Me being right about something.
It's been more than once. Don't worry about it.
Maybe twice.
It's just something I didn't write down. Apologies. So they leave the station. He said that he's had eyes on her and that he doesn't know second episode?
Second episode. He lies to her, telling her that Kilgrave has left the city for good. And then they have that little discussion about that Trish should stay away from Jessica entirely, that it's her problem.
Right. And they should run away together.
Yeah. That's the second episode.
Okay. And Kilgrave wants her to come to him of her own free will. Jessica. Mm-hmm. And so he lets Jessica go with a message saying that he left her a gift that she hasn't found yet. That Reuben wasn't the gift, obviously, but there's something for her in the apartment. And she goes back to her apartment, and lo and behold, she has like a kind of flashback to a box.
Yep.
That apparently she found for him that had that flash drive in it
That Reva
had.
yes.
And that's where she retrieved that flash drive for him.
And here's that very same box.
The very same box. And when she opens it...
No flash drive.
Here we go into my next topic, Dear Diary.
Yes.
It is her childhood diary. And it's got the girly handwriting with the property of Jessica Jones.
The Diary of Jessica Jones.
Yep. And she reads through it. And of course, that leads her to her childhood house. And creep time.
Yeah.
We knew he bought her house.
Dear Diary, Justin Timberlake is a hottie.
Would it? Yeah, I guess it would have been Justin Timberlake because she had Nirvana posters and stuff up in her house. So yeah. Although, would she have really liked?
That's a good point. Maybe if she had Nirvana posters, maybe Kurt Cobain.
Yeah, I'm guessing Kurt Cobain.
Yeah, or Dave. Or
Dave Grohl, maybe.
Dave Grohl, but yeah.
Grohl. I'm going with Dave Grohl.
I know. Surprise! You go with Dave Grohl.
I never thought he was super attractive, but that just has to do with I got to see him closer than
even with his beard.
I didn't see him with makeup on. There's that. Okay. So she finds the book and it leads her to her childhood home, which he has been painstakingly recreating down to the most minute detail.
Yeah.
Wallpaper, carpet.
He used a magnifying glass to identify the CDs in her bedroom.
Right.
So if that doesn't creep you out.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Yeah. And when she arrives, she is aghast.
Yeah.
As it were.
We just kind of flowed right into episode 8, didn't we?
Right. And that is pretty much where that episode ends.
Yeah.
So what did you give this episode?
I give this one 9 out of 10 bags with heads inside.
Okay. And I gave it 9 horrible stage moms because we did get a scene where Jessica goes to talk to her. I guess it's Trish's birth mom.
Yes.
And the woman who took her in, and she is just the worst.
Yeah, Trish's mom is definitely the worst.
Yeah, who apparently drove Trish to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because Jessica's kind of before she turns herself into the cops, she basically tries to tie up some loose ends. Mm-hmm. So she tries to go see Luke one last time, but he's not at his bar. Apparently, he took off for his own TV show.
Right.
For a little while. And then so she's like, okay, and then she goes to see Trish's mom to talk about Trish.
You had taken her in as well, right?
To talk about Trish, and then just like basically says, "You stay away from her, or I'm going to find out about it, and you're going to be deep crap."
Right. And
I will break you.
She mentions restraining orders and
500 feet.
Like that.
Yeah,
just like a real restraining order. Yeah. Now, one of the things I wondered was, is this why Trish is learning Krav Maga and all that stuff? So, of course, I'll find out. No spoilers, please.
What? No.
Yes, you.
Shirley, you jest.
Yeah. Okay. So,
don't call me Shirley.
Episode 8.
No, I forgot one before we get into that, real quick.
Pterodactyl.
Yeah. That whole sequence where the cops are pointing the guns at each other.
Mm-hmm.
I just loved it.
I know, it was great, right?
And it showed how truly dangerous Kilgrave is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, here's got
a whole room full of people all at the same time.
Trained police officers who are trained to use their weapons, helpless, and pointing their guns in every direction.
Right.
Making Jessica feel like, okay, I'm screwed.
I can't say anything wrong here.
I can't save anyone. Right. Yeah, so I just love that.
Speaking of Airplane, didn't that kind of remind you of like the ending scene of a Police Squad episode?
Yes. Everybody's pointing guns at each other. Yeah.
Right, and Frozen.
Yes.
Because they used to do that. They used to just pretend to be a frozen screen at the end of Police Squad episodes. And the credits would roll, and you could tell the actors were just pretending to be frozen.
The Police. If you love Naked Gun, the Police Squad TV show, track it down. It's hilarious.
You've got to watch it.
Yeah, it's great.
So funny.
Leslie Nielsen is awesome.
R.I.P. Leslie Nielsen.
Yes, seriously.
Great. Alrighty. So, episode 8 of
Did you give her your rating?
I did. Horrible Stage Moms.
Oh, you did.
Which led us into that
stage
thing. And you gave yours?
Yeah, I gave mine. We're good.
9 bags.
Bags with heads inside. Yep.
Okay.
We're cool.
Episode 8, aka WWJD. What would Jessica do?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not 100% sure why they chose that as the name, but
well, to give the obvious connection to what would Jesus do,
I guess,
because Jessica's name begins with a J.
Well, of course.
And you're kind of, but also this episode, it's Jessica's face with
it because they're the savior of they're the hero of
I don't think the savior so much, but it's just she has this choice.
Yeah.
Of what to do with Kilgrave.
Oh, I see. So what would she do?
What would she do? Yeah.
Oh, got it.
That's what I took from it.
She has to go away and think about what she would do. Okay. All right.
You like how I did? Yeah.
I'm smart.
Nah.
So, here are my talking points. Meet the parents.
I'm smart.
Meet the parents, or the kids are not all right tonight. Don't blink, and going out for dinner.
Blink and you're dead.
Right. There goes my hero. Uncivil union. Her neighbor is truly a blast from the past. Yeah, sorry. It was the worst joke ever, I know. So meet the parents, or the kids are not all right tonight.
And boom goes the dynamite.
Yeah. This was an interesting part of the storyline, getting to know, first of all, what makes Kilgrave tick. Fascinating.
More like tick, 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 tick.
Right? Yeah. And also, we got to see Jessica's story.
Mm-hmm. It's they're paralleled in this story, where we get the background with Jessica, and then some important details with her, and also some important details about how Kilgrave got his powers and everything, and how messed up his relationship with his parents are.
Right.
Which plays out.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying.
Interesting.
That's all I'm saying.
Okay. I also want to say, I put in a note here that Kilgrave shows Jessica her room, like to her room.
Yeah.
And on her door, it has a do not enter sign, which he hesitates at, and for a minute.
Right.
Just a minute. So that's kind of a door thing for me. And when they're in that house, there's a lot of lingering in doorways. A lot of lingering in doorways. And the discussions they have and who is standing in what open doorway, I find very interesting. Where, she is open to him if she's standing in the doorway, and he is open to her if he's standing in the doorway. The imagery is amazing. I'm quite sure they did this on purpose.
Somebody needs to go back throughout the entire season and count the number of every time a door is featured in a scene prominently, and just count the number of door scenes, because I'm curious. It's got to be in the 20s or 30s.
Well, I'm just kind of happy that I picked up on it. To be fair, I mean,
no, that was very observant of you.
I'm pretty sure that they really meant to do it. Now that especially after the scene with Simpson and Trish.
Yeah,
because
the more we've talked about it, the more you've sold me on this.
Yeah, I really do think they were using it to make a point, very subtly in most cases. But when she has a door that has do not enter and he's standing there hesitating, how much clearer can that be? And he still goes in.
Right.
But he hesitates outside that door. So it's showing you, she says do not enter and you hesitate, but you still go in.
Well,
I mean, that's the relationship right there, right?
Yeah, it does, because you're right. Because on the one hand, he wants Jessica to like him,
Right.
But,
well, they have a conversation
right.
even in this episode.
He tries to make her happy, but by the same token, he still wants to do what he wants to do.
Exactly.
And he's willing
And
to go ahead
that
with it.
conversation that they have where she says, you raped me.
Yes.
And he says, well, how am I supposed to know?
Right.
Because I say something and people do it. So do they do it because I compelled them to do it, or do they do it because they want to do it? How am I supposed to know if they did it because of that or not?
And how important was that rape discussion, by the way?
Very.
Because this is the first time we've ever broached this subject in a Marvel anything, television,
Right.
movie, what have
Well,
you.
yeah,
They've done it in the comics, but
in a live action.
in a live action
property,
adaptation, yeah. So
Right.
this is kind of a big deal here. This is new
groundbreaking, I think. And it was implied, obviously, up till this point, that he had done something like that. But
here they had it addressed it straight on.
Head on, yeah. And I think that little implication before they actually have the conversation was kind of a clicking in your mind to say he goes places that you don't want to go. At least for me, it was very evident when he was standing there, and there's that huge "do not enter" sign right there, and he just walks right through it.
Yeah.
Just crazy. I love how these people, how they wrote this. It's so subtle, and
she sets the boundary, but he still violates it.
Yep, exactly. It's amazing. I love the writing.
Yeah,
I love it.
Melissa Rosenberg, I think, has redeemed herself.
I think very much.
I mean,
so.
she didn't write this episode, but she's a showrunner.
She's one. Yeah.
So
I think she has a hand in it.
I would hope, as a showrunner, I would hope she had a hand in it.
I'm sure that they do quite a bit of the day-to-day stuff on the show. So, and that has a lot to do with like the direction and the staging and things like that, not just the writing. So, okay, so meet the parents, or the kids are all not all right tonight.
Mm-hmm.
We get to see some of the backstory, and this is where we learn about Jessica and how she came to be an orphan. And
yeah, that's right out of the comic, kind of. By the way,
okay, I assumed that when I looked her up, and
the bit with the Game Boy was new, but pretty much everything else.
Yeah. So Jessica distracts her father for a moment on a car ride, which most kids do at one point or another. But in this case, it's deadly, and they get in an accident, and she is the only one who survives.
Right.
Now, did she survive because she already had her power?
That's something I wanted to bring up, because they don't address it in this series.
Mm-hmm.
How exactly Jessica gets her powers. If you read the comics, you would know that accident involves a truck.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a military truck or something that has it's an homage to Stan Lee origin. So it's like some radioactive material, whatever. So
okay. And that's how she gets her powers?
She gets her powers, yeah. For she doesn't discover it until she wakes up in the hospital.
Okay.
That she's got these powers. So as far as the accident goes, she doesn't have her powers until that accident.
Okay.
And then
can we assume that perhaps she survives because that's when she gets her powers?
Well, the accident gives her powers and then helps keep her alive.
Right.
When the rest of her family's dead.
Right. Because they didn't luck into the
powers.
Exact circumstances of what happened to Jessica.
Yeah, exactly. But Jessica doesn't piece that together until she wakes up in the hospital, and she starts discovering her powers.
Got it. All right, so there's that, and that's after this horrific scene of her having these flashbacks, waking up in the house and seeing her family and them blaming her for their deaths with blood running down their faces, which is terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible. And again, I think that's something that Kilgrave is just so insensitive to have her back in her family home with it remade 100% like it was when she was young. Well, that's definitely going to throw her back and bring up memories of her past, and he doesn't get that. He thinks he's making...
Or it's all a complete mind F.
Okay. Okay. But he's saying he loves her, right?
Yeah, but he saying that And this is how he expresses his love, is by messing with her head.
Okay.
That's how disturbed he is.
So he's so twisted that he
is so-
doesn't get it. Is that
He doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't connect. His way of showing how he feels about her
Mhm.
is that he introduces these memories without, again, like you said, without realizing it, but by the same token, this part of him, I think, and this is just me speculating, but I think there's part of him that wants to control her.
Sure. Do you think maybe he wants to be there to comfort her?
Yeah. He wants to, yeah, he is so obsessed by her that he wants to completely dominate every aspect of her life.
Right.
Control it.
Right.
Like,
So that if he makes her terrified,
and he manipulates her like, okay, here's this house, like, here you are back at your childhood house, which I provided for you, and I carefully reconstructed for you.
right.
Whether you asked for it or not is irrelevant.
Right. And I have installed you here.
Yes.
And trust me, I made it very clear that you are here of your own free will, right?
Right. And or otherwise, I could just kill these people that are here in the house.
Right. But it's your own free will, right?
Yeah, exactly. So this is where the dichotomy is.
Right. And I think part of him is saying, without coming out and saying it, that I'm here for your every need.
Yeah.
But I'm also putting you in a situation where you might need me. Yeah?
Yeah.
I
want to make you need me.
Right. So if you're terrified, you can come to me, but you have to come to me.
Now, see, that's a total mind F.
Right. Right. You can't go to anyone else. You have to come to me, but I'm going to make it so that you have to go.
This is where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
You got it.
So he's putting her in these horrible situations, and they're unenviable. And it's, again, he's putting her in this mind F situation. And I'm guessing this is how it was before.
Yes.
However, she knows it's happening this time.
Mm-hmm.
And last time, I think she didn't know. I think she just thought she had this wonderful boyfriend, right?
Well,
until bad things started happening.
And he makes a point that he said that in the previous episode, he doesn't want to control her.
Mm-hmm. He does, though.
But he does, yes, exactly.
Yeah. He's just saying it.
He doesn't try to directly control her. He just tries to manipulate her.
He is manipulating all the things around her so that she feels compelled to do things.
Right.
But he doesn't want to control her directly.
He's indirectly controlling her.
Right. And that is how he gets around that. He is doing a little dance around that I don't want to control you thing.
Yes.
He always seems to be, he's almost like he's doing this politician speak, mm-hmm. where he is coming up with a very creative way to say, I don't want to control you. I don't want to control you directly.
Yes. Tennant's Purple Man, Kilgrave, is the most Machiavellian TV villain, I want to say, since Hannibal Lecter on NBC's Hannibal.
Yeah, yeah.
The mind games and the orchestration, the manipulation. It's just, it's right up there. It's like something like Brian Fuller would have created himself.
Oh yeah, definitely. And the lengths to which he goes. It's crazy. Just coming up with this whole scenario of him buying the childhood house and recreating it completely, that is mind-blowing. Is this done in the comics, or is this a construct of the show?
No, he does a different thing. There is a big confrontation between the two,
okay,
which inspired this here, but it's something different.
So whoever came up with this scenario, it's pretty brilliant.
Yeah.
It's definitely something he would do.
Yeah.
To get inside her head, because I can't think of anything.
Yeah, in the comic, he gets in her head in a totally different way.
Okay. I can't think of anything much more mind-effy than to do something like this, to force you back into a situation like this.
And to use your childhood traumas and stuff.
Sure.
And because one of the things, again, this is Jessica's guilt. She blames herself, not just for Reva's death, but she also blames herself for her family's death.
Right.
because
Right.
she was screwing around with her brother in the back
Mhm.
seat with the Game Boy,
Right.
and because of that, that caused the accident.
Right. So, whereas the last episode, she confesses to the murder of Riva.
Yeah.
Now, this episode, she's reminded of not only am I a murderer, now I'm reminded of this other
Yes.
horrible.
Yeah, because I lost my family because of something I did.
Right.
Yes.
And I can't blame it on Kilgrave this time.
No.
So,
It forces Jessica to confront
right.
her past actions and her guilt.
Right. And although this is not something that she should take on herself, it's an accident. Technically, it's her dad's fault.
Yeah.
For taking his eyes off the road.
Right. But as far as Jessica's concerned, though.
Right.
And it really couldn't happen at a worse time.
Right.
To do, like, I'm dealing with this whole thing with Riva. Oh, I guess I'll bring up my old childhood trauma about killing my parents.
Yeah, and I'm sure Kilgrave knows that.
Yes. Again, the mind F. Yes.
Mm-hmm. But again, it's another tally in Jessica's head. It's 3 more strokes on her tally board. And this time she can't put it off on anyone else, she feels. You know, the other one she can say, okay, Riva, it's a little more in my camp. In her head, again, this is not me saying this.
Right.
Riva, I take on myself. The other 3, I can put a little bit more weight on Kilgrave. But my parents and my brother, I take all on myself.
Yes.
And now he's reminding me about that. And this is unforgivable. I've got to fight back.
He's a peach, isn't he?
Yeah. And I feel like episode 8 is kind of a turning point for Jessica, where she feels like she's got to fight back.
Yeah.
And not only when she feels like that towards him, I'm guessing at the end of the episode with what happens. And again, I'm just guessing.
Right.
Because that I did not continue on after that. So we get to see what happens with Kilgrave's parents. They do experiments on him. He becomes this monster. We get to see what happens in Jessica Jones's past.
Right.
And how she takes that upon herself. Then she says...
And his real name is Kevin.
Kevin, I know.
Which is such an ordinary name.
It is, isn't it?
So that's why he doesn't call himself Kevin. He just goes by Kilgrave.
Very weird.
Yeah.
I have the next 2 topics changed. So let's go on to There Goes My Hero.
Okay.
So what they decide to do is they go out and they're going to do something good. She's going to show him that he can use his powers for good.
Yeah.
So they decide they're going to go out and stop this man from harming his wife. He's got a gun trained on her and he won't let her go. The police are on a standoff. And he does this homage to Star Wars, which I think is hilarious. Yeah, thank you. He's got his lightsaber out. And
hey now.
She calls him Obi-Wan.
Yep.
Very funny.
Yep.
And they go in and
these are not the droids you're looking for.
Yeah, move along now.
Move along.
They go in and he uses his mind power. You're going to forget we're ever here. And before they go, he makes a few little missteps, but she corrects him. He tries to kill the guy, and he actually makes a decent point, which is wrong because they're supposed to be heroes. But he tries to make the guy kill himself for trying to waste his wife.
Right.
After the wife leaves, he says, "Get out of here, get away from here." And she says, "Thank you," and runs and says, "You'll forget us." Makes her forget that they were there. And he says, "Okay, put the gun in your mouth." And Jessica says, no, it's not up to us to make that decision. We're not the judge and jury here. And he says, "But he's a waste of human life, this guy."
Right.
Why? Well, I'm not going to lose a minute's sleep over this dude. Why should you? And she convinces him that that's not our decision to make. We're no better than them if we kill him or, make him kill himself. And this is where, again, he makes the argument, I don't kill anyone. They kill themselves.
It's his rationalization.
Right.
Yeah.
And, she's pretty much calling him on it.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to boil it down to the to the bare minimum is, yes, you kill people. Just because they pull the trigger, that doesn't mean your hands are clean. And you might want to wash them off a little. And she says, after they leave, he's on a high.
Yeah.
I'm a hero. How great.
He wants to be her like superhero partner.
Right.
They're
And he
the
says
dynamic
something about-
duo.
Right. He says something about the fact that how many of these can they do to unmake all the bad things he did?
Yeah.
And she says, no, doing good things doesn't undo the bad things. And then he says something about, I couldn't do it without you. And
Yeah, because that's his way of trapping her. Like, I would need you around to keep doing this. Otherwise, I'll slide back.
right. And Jessica realizes
Mhm.
that's completely true.
And that's not going to work. So she has this decision
Right. And again, what would Jessica do?
for the greater good.
Right. And I think it is true
Mhm.
because she had to walk him through every step of that save.
Right.
His instincts are completely wrong for being a hero. He doesn't know how to do it.
Right. He's completely amoral.
Yeah. He's evil neutral? Is that what he would be? In that case.
Yeah, to use the RPG
Right.
equivalent.
But I think he's evil chaotic.
That's a toughie. That's a borderline, I think.
You don't think he's chaotic? I think he's chaotic.
He is chaotic, but not.
He's evil.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, I'll go.
Evil chaotic.
Yeah.
He's malevolent. So chaotic evil, definitely. But in this case, in a hero case, he's neutral evil because he just doesn't care.
Right.
And she realizes that without her there, he would have no way to gauge how to handle the hero situation.
Now, is he really being honest about that, or is he using that as a way to keep her around?
Either way,
He wins.
she can't.
Yeah, he wins.
Yeah. She can't take the chance that he would try to be a hero and muck things up.
Right.
So she says to him, I need to take some time and think about this, and I need to take it away from you. And
we need a break.
He doesn't like that. We were on a break.
Yep.
He doesn't like that, but with some assurances in place, saying some people are going to die.
No blinking part.
Right. He has his poor little housekeeper and butler.
Literally, blink and you're dead.
Right.
Now, I got to wonder, do you think that was a Doctor Who in-joke?
I think probably it was.
It's
Don't blink.
It's pretty sly if it is.
It was pretty, well, I think it was over to Doctor Who fans.
Yeah.
But to people who don't watch Doctor Who,
they wouldn't catch it. Yeah.
They wouldn't get it at all. Yeah. That's why when I put Don't Blink, I was like, tee-hee.
Yeah.
As the storyline thing. So he has his staff there looking out the window and don't blinking, as it were.
If you're wondering what we're talking about, the Doctor Who episode Blink. That's Sir David Tennant. So,
right.
So watch that episode, then come right back, and then. Okay. Right.
Yeah. Fair warning.
Yeah.
You might not ever be able to blink again. It's the creepiest episode.
Shh, don't tell them that.
It's good.
Yeah.
It's good though. Well, no, it's not the creepiest episode. I'm sorry, I misspoke.
What's the creepiest? Oh.
There's creepier ones.
Okay.
The kid with the gas mask, I think.
The empty child? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
That's creepier, right?
I don't know. I think it's a tie.
Are they tied? Okay.
As far as I'm concerned, they're tied.
Okay. They're pretty creepy.
But they're both good. Both written by Stephen Moffat, so.
Yeah. He's got a twisted mind, man.
Yeah.
So don't blink and going out for dinner. So she goes out and takes some time to think, although she goes to visit Trish. And this is in between where she visits Trish and when she leaves is when Trish calls Simpson. And Simpson's outside the house looking at Kilgrave.
Yes.
And he lies directly to Trish, saying that he doesn't know where Kilgrave is yet. So she goes to Trish and she fills her in on what's happening. And she and Trish have this heart-to-heart while his staff is just staring out the window this whole time. And it's daylight when she leaves, and it's nighttime when she comes back. So it's hours that they're not blinking. It's horrible. That's terrible, right?
Yeah, pretty much. But
How
but
could you do that?
but on the Kilgrave scale, that's pretty low.
Sure. He kind of mocks them
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah.
And I do like that he has Jessica's phone and he is texting with Hogarth.
Mm-hmm.
And she says that she needs to get dirt on Wendy. She says it to Jessica.
Yeah, who she thinks is Jessica. Yeah.
Right. And he texts back 4 question marks. And then she explains a little bit more. And then he says, bitches, right? Isn't that what he says? Something
like that, yeah.
Right. Or bitches be tripping. It's something that he thinks that Jessica would say.
Yeah, exactly. He tries to act like Jessica.
He chuckles and puts the phone back in his pocket. Now, this is definitely a funny scene, but it's also a setup for something that happens just a few minutes later, because we don't really register that he has her phone. They had breakfast out on the terrace earlier, and she records it.
Right.
And, of course, this means that he listened to that recording on her phone. And when she comes back with Chinese,
yeah,
he allows his staff to wash their faces, and they sit down to a nice meal of Chinese food. And she wants the staff to sit down and eat with them.
Right. And then she does that to show that she didn't poison the food or anything.
Right.
Because I wouldn't kill these innocent people.
Uh-huh.
And Kilgrave allows this because he's just like, he wants to make sure that the food isn't poisoned.
Right.
When in fact it's something else entirely, now isn't it?
Right. She put the
sufentanil.
Right. Well, it's not poison.
It's not poison.
Those people aren't going to be hurt.
They just could be very sleepy.
Right.
It
exactly.
knocks them right out.
Whoops.
Yep.
So yeah, it's kind of a trick there.
Forget about the MSG. Just worry about the sufentanil.
Right. She should have really asked first if they had a sensitivity to MSG. I mean, in New York, that's a problem, I'm guessing. So, but he confronts her when she comes back in, saying that she shouldn't have recorded that.
Yeah, how horribly wrong could that have gone if they had a food allergy?
Right?
That would have been Jessica's luck. Oh
no! It would have been.
Oh no! I killed somebody else indirectly.
I know. I can't have peanuts.
Trauma, more trauma.
See, and they all sat down to dinner, and the thing is, she said, "Well, that's the thing about being a hero. You got to be nice."
Yep.
And so he says, "Sit down and have dinner." So even if they had a peanut allergy and there were peanuts in it, they would have been compelled to sit down and have dinner because he's told them to.
Right.
And they would have died because they had a peanut allergy. Exactly. See how that goes? No, but they were fine. And of course it knocks him out.
Yep.
Which is set up again, I'm guessing, for the next episode.
Well,
but that's not all we wrote for this episode.
Well, the first thing, Jessica grabs Kilgrave's unconscious body, carries him outside, where you've got like Simpson, and his running crew trying to cover as backup.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, Kilgrave's guards intervene.
Right.
And they try to stop her from running off with Kilgrave.
Right.
Jessica won't let the guys, the Simpsons guys, execute Kilgrave.
Right. And off she goes.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, what's my solution? Well, I'm gonna fly right out of here.
Right. Bound.
Yep.
Right.
Leaping,
and something happens after that, but I want to go back to
leaping small suburban homes in a single bound.
That's right. I want to go back to the Uncivil Union because even though I'm not a big fan of this storyline, it happened.
Right.
And Hogarth and Wendy are going through this divorce. They have their deposition where the lawyers and the parties meet. Hogarth has finally gotten the signature, but they're going to court over how to split the assets.
Right.
the signature was gotten by Jessica in the subway station, where there could have been something horribly
Now, we didn't talk about
wrong.
this earlier in the previous episode, but
Mhm.
how lucky is Jessica that she wasn't served for threatening, like, by Wendy for
Right,
like almost killing her in the subway station.
right. Although I'm guessing that Wendy figured it would be useless to
Yeah,
file any
she
report
just wants
against
out of
her.
this, I
Right.
guess. But
'Cause
still,
she's already going to court
yeah,
with Hogarth.
right,
And she knows that Hogarth will just get Jessica off. So
right. Good point.
why take her to court over
Good
it?
point.
So they're across the table from each other, and we didn't know until now, but Wendy apparently has a bit of dirt on Hogarth, that she has done some dirty things in the past. And
Dirty deeds and the done dirty.
yeah. And she says that she's going to out her
Mhm.
unless she gives her 75% of everything.
Right.
In front of the new chick, and the new chick backs up Hogarth.
Right.
And as soon as Wendy leaves,
Yes.
the new chick says, "You're lucky I backed you up, but you better keep me in the loop from now on, or we're going to have issues."
Right.
And then when they meet for their deposition later, things do not go well. There's a bit of contention. It just doesn't seem like it's gonna go Hogarth's way, does it?
Not really. It
No.
doesn't look good at this point.
No, it doesn't. So there's that. I'm not quite sure where that's gonna fit in. I like that Hogarth is in this because it's definitely a conduit for Jessica.
Mm-hmm.
But
it seems like an isolated storyline that just only
it does.
marginally linked to the central storyline.
Right. So I'm wondering, why is it there?
Right.
But don't tell me if it fits in or if it doesn't, because I don't.
I would never do such a thing.
Yes, you would.
Yes,
you totally would.
Yes, I would.
Okay.
I'm not.
So
I'm not
after
going to.
Meanwhile, back at the house.
Back at the house,
Mrs. Kravitz, who we met earlier on the porch when they were having breakfast, next neighbor. Abner, the neighbor is doing something next door. Get away from the curtain, Mrs. Kravitz. So she had gone over for breakfast and they had talked, and of course Kilgrave compels her to say all kinds of things about Jessica, and did not respect her at all.
Then makes her admit the truth of why she's involved, and she said something about, well, I wanted the attention or something like that.
Right. That she was telling lies about Jessica's family because she wanted attention.
Right.
So Jessica, I guess, is just not terribly fond of her, but she doesn't have anything against her either.
No. So
later in the episode, Mrs. Kravitz is walking along the dark street.
And this is the cliffhanger.
Yes. After Jessica takes off with Kilgrave.
Whoosh.
And she walks straight up to, is it Simpson that she walks up to, or is it one of the henchmen?
Like his guys, his crew.
Okay, his guys.
Yeah.
And she says, Kilgrave wanted you to have this.
Yeah, she was supposed to deliver it to Simpson.
Right. And hands someone her purse, and kabloomy.
Kaboom.
Yeah, it was a bomb.
Blew her up real good.
Blew her up, blew the car up next to her, yeah. It was a good one.
Real good.
So, and that was Her Neighbor is Truly a Blast from the Past. That was her
explosive personality.
Ha 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 ha. So how'd I do with that one? Did we discuss everything?
I think so. I think you covered everything brilliantly.
Okay. So what did you give this episode?
I gave this one a little higher. I gave this one 9.5. Or I'm sorry, 9. I'm sorry. I gave it 9.
It's all right.
I'm thinking of something else. 9 bags of Chinese food laced with sufentanil.
I would have given this a 9. The only reason I chopped it down a little bit was the divorce thing, which I still am like, what? 8.5 drops of Visine, because I really it really made me uncomfortable.
Gets the red out.
Seeing these guys. Yeah, they were very upset. that they
Somehow, I
couldn't.
don't think the Vising's going to help Mrs. Kravitz get the red out.
No. Of the street, you mean? Because that's where all the red is
Yeah,
right
you're
now.
gonna need like a bucket of it going with a mop going.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry, a little dark. I went there, but yeah, that was a little dark.
We're talking about Jessica Jones.
Good point.
There's
Yeah.
blood in the street. No other way to put that. So, very enjoyable episodes. I can't wait to find out where it goes.
Yeah.
Again,
But now we only get to do one this coming
I
week.
know.
We got
I know.
to slow it back down a little.
Well, what do we have this week?
We have
Supergirl?
Supergirl and Jessica Jones this week,
Okay.
and
You
then
sure you do two?
we can do two if you want.
It's up to
I
you.
don't care. I'm open. I've seen them, so I'm good either way. You want to do two, and then we'll have 3 total episodes to
Yeah,
discuss?
let's do two.
Okay, then we can do
So that we can, instead of just doing 2 this week, we do 3 to work up to
That's-
having more shows.
That's a good
and-
idea. Okay, so
Okay.
I will revise our revised schedule.
Excellent. So 9 and 10.
9 and 10 next week.
9 and 10 next
Producing
week.
on the fly.
Yay!
Yep.
So we do have Justina's feedback this week.
All right.
It is not audio, so I shall read it.
Please do.
Hi, Karen and Charles.
Hi.
I'm still loving Jessica Jones.
Hi, Karen and Charles.
I know. Can't you hear her saying
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
I'm still loving Jessica Jones and the fact that while so many podcasts are on hiatus, she uses the correct word, by the way. See, I can still hang out with you guys. I give the first episode 8 out of 10 houses on Higgins. How creepy that must feel for Jessica to be in that recreation. To feel a combination of safe because it is so familiar, but also grief because your family is dead and you're living with your worst nightmare. You're going to take your head off with that lightsaber, Charles. Yeah. Last week we talked about Krysten Ritter's acting. This week David Tennant is acting so well I am having a philosophical reaction. My heart speeds up and fear, it just overwhelms me. Yeah, that's kind of good, right? I mean, and one of the things, here's my editorial comment. I said this on Next Stop Everywhere.
Yes.
I'll say it here too, in case some people don't overlap.
Right.
I went from watching Jessica Jones to watching the 50th anniversary
Special.
episode
Yep.
of Doctor Who.
Which has David Tennant in it. Yeah.
Right, Day of the Doctors, and he is very jokey in that, David Tennant.
It's hard to watch him as the Doctor now after Kilgrave.
And it blew my mind. I mean, I know how he acts on Doctor Who. It's not unknown to me. But to have it back to back in the same week, I'm just like,
Yep.
wow, the versatility of this guy.
He obviously has range.
He doesn't even look the same to me.
No, his mannerisms are completely different, which is, again, the sign of a great actor.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I know. So anyway, back to her.
Yeah.
Back to her feedback. The second episode gets 8 out of 10 food that smells fast. It is really interesting to watch a character as deranged as Kilgrave love someone. I think he does love Jessica. I'll put in my editorial note
Right.
here. I think he loves in his own way.
Right.
Am I right?
That's love with an asterisk.
Right. Right, exactly.
Love.
Can't wait to see what effect finding his parents will have on him and the fate of Officer Simpson. Wait a minute, finding his parents? Okay, so
Somebody-
his parents still alive?
I'm not saying because that would be jumping ahead. So just
She totally spoiled me.
Justina, shame on you.
Okay.
That's a bad Justina. That's a bad Justina.
Okay. Have a super week. Counting down the days to Legends of Tomorrow, 19.
Yep.
And then I put as an editorial note, 19 as of her email, 17 as of this recording. It airs on Thursday, January 21st.
Right.
I'm just putting that in there so that there's context.
So yeah, Justina.
Wow, she totally.
She got exposed as
Yeah.
jumping ahead.
I just cut and pasted this so that I could read it.
You didn't read it before.
No. Oh man, she spoiled it. So his parents are still alive. Does he know that?
Or does he? ...
Okay.
I'm trying to cover up this
Dude.
best as I can.
I'm gonna have to send an email.
These are not the spoilers you're looking for.
Okay, thank you. What?
Exactly.
Huh? So if you want to send feedback to
Non-spoilery feedback, please.
No, that I don't care. Honestly, I don't care. That it doesn't bug me. It just took me by surprise, that's all.
It was fun to laugh about.
Yeah, it was actually fun to laugh about. If you would like to send feedback, and we would love for you to send feedback.
Yes.
Or a picture like Philip does every week, which is amazing.
Yep.
He didn't make fun of me last week, though. I was kind of sad.
Yeah, where's the equal time, Philip?
I know, he has to make fun of me. He really does. He just gave us the hero sandwich last week. Feedback info is we are at Fandom Zone.
He just likes you best.
On Twitter. I think he just couldn't.
Pouty pow.
He doesn't have any context for World of Warcraft, probably.
That's true.
We are at facebook.com/Fandom Zone Podcast, and our email is fandomzonecast@gmail.com.
Excellent.
Where can they find you personally, Charles?
Well, I think they could find me at Charles Skaggs on Twitter, at Charles Skaggs on the Insta.
Grams.
Grams. I'll try to be a little cool and hip. The Insta.
Oh, Insta.
The
Okay.
Insta.
Are you on Snapchat?
No.
FaceTime?
I'm not that hip.
Hello?
I'm on the geezer stuff, like Facebook and
Oh, all right.
But Google Plus for all you crazy kids in the Google Plus. And of course, my blog, Geeky Things, Damn Good Coffee, and Hot, where I talk about things like Jessica Jones, or the Fandom Zone podcast, or Next Up Everywhere, or
other things.
David Tennant. So
that's right, and movies and things like that.
Yes. Yep.
I've been reading it.
Yeah, I got slacked off for the New Year, so I got to get back on track on my blog.
It's all right. I had some backlog because I hadn't seen Star Wars yet.
Cool.
So I went back and read some.
I hope you enjoyed it.
Yes, I did. I did. Your review and the movie.
Do you agree with my ranking?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I do.
All right.
This movie was pretty good, though. I liked it.
That's good. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah, I did. We might go see it again. I don't know.
We've seen it 3 times.
I know you have, but it's a money outlay for us.
I understand that. That's cool.
It's the money issue.
It's okay.
I went to see the first 3 movies a lot.
It's not a contest, really.
No, I know it's not. It's just I want to go again really bad. And then me personally, you can find me at Elevaria on the Twitter machine. And in my bio, there is an About Me link where you can clicky on it and find all my links.
Make with the clicky.
That's right. Make with the clicky.
Make with the clicky.
And the very last entry on that page is my blog, which I will be updating a bit more often this year, I hope, because I'm doing a reading challenge that I've set for myself. So if you want to keep up with me and my reading, feel free to go there. But I will also be posting some other things that might be interesting. I don't know. We'll find out.
It'll be interesting. Everything you do is interesting.
That's so not true.
Except maybe playing World of Warcraft till 1 a.m. But
see, that's what I'm saying. That is not. My last post was the outfits that my World of Warcraft characters are wearing, and you should go and look at that and tell people if it's interesting or not.
Well, to World of Warcraft people, fans, that would be interesting, right?
Actually, that's a huge part of World of Warcraft.
So there you go. So see, it's interesting. So
but
you just validated my statement.
I want to see if you find it interesting.
Well,
to see what all my characters look like.
I might. I was once a gamer back in ye olden days of Atari 2600.
I mean, are you curious as to what my characters look like? All 15 of my 100.
I told you I was going to check it out.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, but I think you're just humoring me.
No, I'm not humoring you at all. I know better because you will.
Plus, I make really badass looking outfits.
You will kick my ass if I'm humoring you. So yeah.
One of the things that you can do, see, and I'm going to do this preemptively.
What is this bizarre segue?
Shush you.
Is that you can go and get armor back from like in the ye olden days, and you can apply it to the armor you wear now as like a disguise, and you can make yourself look however you want to look.
Is it like ye olden days, like 8-bit or?
No, vanilla.
That would have been awesome. That would have been awesome. Another like retro 8-bit.
It would have really been awesome to do that, right? to make it all like pixelated.
exactly.
So you can like change the color of your outfit and the armor look. So you can have a different armor look than you have actually. Transmogrifying your outfit. We call it mogging.
Yep.
So I show off all the outfits I've put together for my characters.
So mogging has nothing to do
Barbie.
mogging has nothing to do with Barf from Spaceballs.
Not at all.
Because he's a mog, right? Half man, half dog. Mog. I'm my own best friend.
It's not MAUG or M, however he
It's
spells.
MOG.
Oh, okay. Well, this is MOG.
Yeah, because mogrify.
Oh.
Yeah, I get it.
Right. But it just means dressing.
I got to work in a Spaceballs reference. I'm happy.
Yeah.
May the Schwartz be with you.
I get to play Barbie dolls with them, essentially.
Cool.
The deal is. I won a contest once for one of my characters.
That's cool.
So I'm very happy about
You
it.
should be.
Anyway, that being said, I'm going to try and update that blog with science fiction stuff too. So
Awesome.
there's that. And I think that ends us on a very awkward note.
It's us. When is it not awkward?
So let's say at the end here that next week we will be talking about this week's Supergirl.
Yes. Episode 9.
And episode 9. And then also Jessica Jones, episode 9 and episode 10.
So that's 3 episodes total.
That's right. Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
You threw that right in the camera. Like,
Yeah.
3.
With authority.
So look forward to that next week in episode 41 of the Fandom Zone. And we will see you then.
Bye, everyone.